My clone rifle, there are many clones like it, but by God, I hope there's none like this one because it is a mess. But at the end of the day, this is my rifle and I have more rounds through it than you probably will ever shoot. That being said, things definitely could be improved on it, and maybe I shouldn't have taken some cost-cutting procedures here and there, but it works for me and what I use it for. So why did I build this rifle? Well, it is because me and my wife are both in the military. She is full-time. I am the nasty girl of the family.
Yes, a celebrity in uniform.
So we deal with that as best as we can. And one of the ways we deal with that is cloning a service rifle so I can get more rounds downrange and a little bit more training. And as she is not in a combat role or a combat MOS, she does not get to shoot as often as she would like. So we have this, so we can go out shooting on our personal ranges. She can practice zeroing, qualifying, and all that good stuff so she doesn't look like a fool.
All of the rounds inside your magazine. How? So now you can no longer shoot because you have no more ammo.
How did this happen, Jasard?
You shot it all, Private.
Oh.
When you go out there, because the best way not to look like a fool is to educate yourself. And then that's pretty much why I built this rifle. I didn't build it to defend my freedoms or liberties or stop home intruders or anything like that. I built this to run drills with and spend quality time with my wife. And if you have a problem with that, let me know in the comment section below. Now that being, actually, look, you can tell we use it because look, there's mud right on that quad rail. See that? Okay. Oh, and there's some on the stock too. Well, maybe I should actually clean my rifles more than I shoot them. If you if you don't clean your rifles as much as you should, hit that like, comment, subscribe, and join the channel. Help me grow. Help me become what I believe I can be, which is maybe something. That was pretty gay. Let's get into the gun, right? Now, we're gonna start with the Hakutua, the tip here, and we're gonna go ahead and spit on that thing with this muzzle. Take back the subscribe, go, leave the channel, leave and don't come back. I have a 3-prong muzzle device here by Griffin Armament. It is a taper mount so that I can make it quiet, because the only way to truly silence our enemies is to silence our rifles. And that's what that's for. Granted, Griffin does have I think it's called the Minimalist, and it is the normal style flash hider that comes on most M4s, and it does have the taper mount so you can run a suppressor. Let me prop this off. And what's cool about that one, and I know you can for a fact, is you can run a bayonet on there and it won't rub on your threads on your rifle, which I think is very nifty. So if you really want a cool blend of being able to shoot your suppressed clone rifle and use the Griffin taper mount system, there you go. Get you a clone taper mount system, run your USMC bayonet, and stab trees. We've all done it. There's videos of me doing it. Now, moving back here, of course, with the clone, I do want a front sight post / gas block that definitely is going to be zeroed 100% of the time, unless you really smack it, and then it will not be zeroed. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to say it's going to be 100% accurate 100% of the time. From here, of course, I have a quad rail. I think it's from UTG, right? Yeah, UTG Pro quad rail. Heavy as hell. Does hold zero relatively well, especially with a Somo gear on here. I really don't have a problem with the Somo gear losing zero as much as every other problem with it. But we'll get into that when we start talking about this lamb. This quad rail, like I said, is very heavy.
It is as heavy as 10 boxes that you might be moving.
But it is very cheap. I think it's like $46, some insane amount of money. And it holds up relatively well. Let's go ahead and talk about this lamb, the Somo gear. I don't like talking about it because there are many like it and none of them are the same. It's made in China, so it's made at a quality control rate of who the hell knows, and good freaking luck. I have one that runs relatively good. It's on this rifle. I have one that I have on my other rifle that loses zero constantly. I've broken 3 times and had to fix 3 times. You take it and you just torque it slightly, and when you torque it down, it would not return to zero. If you'd hit it, it would not return to zero. But yes, it is mid. If you want a cool thing to train with, this is a very cool thing to train with, not a cool thing to defend your life with. Moving on from there, I have this light. And there are many lights like this, but this one is mine. This one is a pile of shit, but it works. I was given this light because somebody had it. If you notice, this bolt doesn't match like a normal weapon style bolt, and that is because the threads on here were all fuckered up, and so I retapped it, put a new bolt in there, and then my buddy just gave it to me. But it's really cool because it has a swivel on here, and it makes me want to buy a QD light with the swivel because I am in the military. I don't want to put a flashlight on my one I use in the armory, my weapon system I use in the armory, because from time to time they'll switch up all the weapons in the armory and then you get a new one assigned to you that wasn't your original rifle, and I have no clue where that light would go, and I don't want to have to carry a tool on me to remove it and put it back. So I do want a QD lever. If you know a good QD, quick detach, QD, drink every time I say QD. QD, 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 QD. You the QD.
Julian!
Let's get into this. If you know a good QD light, preferably with a swivel mount, hit me up because I want to buy one for my service rifle, and I'll throw it on my clone just so I can get some good reps in with it. Now, moving down, I have a sling because there are many slings in the military and I really do not care that much about my slings. I adjust it once or twice and then fucking live with it for the rest of the time I'm holding this rifle. So I have, what is this? An S2 sling, and it is attached the exact same way I would attach my sling on any of my service rifles, and it is tied in a knot here and pretty much tied in a knot here, but through the clip. And this is not the way you should be running your slings. But you have to remember, these plastic clips that come on most slings, after a week or two, just start to fail. So I just started tying that shit up. I would tie it, then maybe throw a wrap of tape around it just so it would stop coming untied. If you carry a rifle for days, you'll feel my pain. If you don't, you keep your rifle in a freaking safe and not use it at all whatsoever, you have no idea what I'm talking about. So rambling aside, leave in the comments how much you hate how I secured my sling on my clone rifle, but it is clone correct, the only clone correct thing on this rifle. Now from here we have the Cope M4S, i.e. the Romeo 7. Now what's cool about this Romeo 7 is it has the same MOA dot and adjustment on these nods.
Night vision goggles.
Holy thing from the Fantastic Four shit!
Or not nods, what the fuck am I talking about? On these knobs, slob on these knobs.
Slob on my knob.
Gay. It's got the same 0.5 adjustment on these MOA knobs. So when you're teaching somebody to zero on the army styled targets, it's the same exact adjustments, 2 per square, because each square is 1 mil. And I think that's pretty nifty and neat about this. It's not a 1 MOA click, it's a 1.5. I think most are 1.5s, but I don't know, it's neat. It's dumb, I guess, I don't know. Don't bully me, I'll come.
I'm gonna come.
I have the iron sight back here. I got this iron sight from some dude in a gun store. A normal army style iron sight with all the adjustments for the distances. It works relatively well and it sits relatively low and it is hardy. Moving on from here, we have this beautiful, beautiful lower receiver that I bought for I think $150 on sale. We were going out on a camping trip, me and some buddies were, and one of the guys went and bought a BCM upper or something like that, or maybe an Arrow upper, and he wanted a lower receiver and he didn't have it in his budget because he blew it all on the optic and upper. He didn't have a bolt or a lower receiver. So what do I do as the nice guy? I go out and buy the cheapest lower I could possibly find and the cheapest bolt I could possibly find. And I go, here you go, use this while we're out here. And then now I have a lower that I didn't know what I was gonna do with until I started building out this clone. So relatively budget lower. With a budget lower, you get all the budget accessories. A shitty military styled stock, military styled grip right here, mil-spec trigger, and mystery meat bolt. But when I went to build this rifle, I had all the parts laying around, so I slapped it all together in this Frankenstein build, and this is what we end up with, boys. This is a cursed gun clone, if you want to call it a clone, or if you want to call it just sacrilege, call it whatever you want, just don't call it late to the party, because it is here and ready to rock and roll. That wraps up the video, guys. Let me know in the comments how cursed this rifle actually is and how awful of a human being I absolutely have to be to purchase and build something like this, because my self-esteem is too high and I need you to knock it down. How about y'all get off my range?